Hello, I wanted to give you another example of debugging, and I wanted to tie in the getopt that we learned this week as well. So I'm just going to step you through running a program that uses getopt. And so we're going to start with P0. So there is some starter code for P0 on Piazza. So I have taken that starter code and I've put it inside of main. So this is the starter code here. So you can see the flags up top and then the big getopt loop, and then the actual code for outputting different modes at the bottom. The only thing that I changed from the starter code is that I added this line here, which just prints out the name of the file name that you would be using in cat or concatenate mode. And so I haven't implemented that part yet, but we will. This is enough that we can demonstrate how the getopt works, at least. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and compile this. It looks like I've already compiled it. So let me just make clean and then make again to build so that it'll rebuild everything. So we can run this. So there's the hello world mode by default. Here is the goodbye mode, and then here is the cat mode. So let's step through this in GDB and see what's actually going on, and reinforce some of the things that we learned about getopt. So we'll run GDB on intro. I am going to go ahead and switch over to the text user interface mode. So I'm going to press Control X and then 1. And so that'll put me in this mode here where I can watch the source code as we go through it. And then I want to start running this program, and I want to break at the beginning of main. And if you use the start command, it'll actually do both of those things. So I want to run it just with no extra parameters. So I'm just going to say start. And we're here at the beginning of main. And for reasons that are a little too complicated, we don't need to explain them right now, I'm also going to use the in or the next command in order to move one step into the main function. Okay, so if we look at argc, we'll see that argc is equal to 1, so this means that there's one command line argument, and remember that the first command line argument is always going to be the name of the program that's running. So here is the full path to the executable that is running, and that's what's in argv0. And of course, since argc is only 1, then there are no other parameters. Okay, so if we were to run this, we'll get down here to the getopt call, and it's not going to find any flags because there aren't any. So it's just going to return -1, which will get us out of the loop and move us on down to the implementation code. Since we didn't disable hello, this will print, and then we'll if your screen ever gets messed up in the TUI mode, you can press Control L and that will refresh it. And so we're down here now, and we're done, and the program exits. So let's run the program again, and this time we'll give it the -G flag. So we're going to start over again from the beginning. Again, I'm going to take one step into the function, and now we're going to look at argc, and we'll see that it is 2. So there are now 2 things inside of argv. So we can print the first thing, which is the name of the program again. And then we can print the second thing, which is our -G. So, we could implement this getopt loop manually and just look through argv and, compare them each in turn to -G and see if we have that option. But there, again, like we talked about in the getopt video, there are so many corner cases and things that you have to worry about that getopt is basically handling a lot of those edge cases and weird behaviors for you, so you don't have to worry about it. All right, so in this case, we have one flag, and so getopt is going to return something. So we're going to go inside this loop, and we're going to have the return value of getopt in the variable c. So this is stored as an integer, but if we were to print this as a character, we would see that this is in fact the ASCII encoding for g. So that's the first flag, which means we'll go inside of this case where we'll set goodbye to true, we'll set hello to false, and then we'll exit out of the switch, and we will make our second call to getopt. Excuse me. Since there is only one flag, the next call to getopt is going to return a -1. We'll exit out of the loop, and now we will check hello. We've set hello to false, which means that we don't go inside of that conditional. We did set goodbye to true, which means that we'll go inside there and we'll print. And then from there, we'll move on down, and the program will exit again. Okay, so let's do this one more time, and let's run this with -C. So this activates cat or concatenate mode, and then we'll give it the name of a file. And this is not a real file right now, but we haven't implemented this yet, so this is going to be okay for now. So I'm going to run this again. So we'll start it over yet again. Again, I'm going to take one step into the program, and then I'm going to look at argc. And now it's 3. And if we were to print each of them out, we would see that we have the program name itself again. Now we have the -C. So that's the second thing in argv. And then the third thing in argv is that argument to the C flag. And getopt is going to help us streamline our handling of this. So we don't have to, look for the -C and then add 1 to get to the next thing in order to retrieve the argument. Getopt is going to handle all that for us. So let's go down to the first call to getopt, which is going to return something. And if, again, we print this as a character, we'll see that it is C. So it's the cat mode flag. So that's the case that we'll go into. So we set our cat mode variable to true, we set hello to false, and then we save opt-arg. So opt-arg is, remember, this global variable, and if you have an argument, as we do for this C flag, and remember that we had to use the colon in the opt string in order to indicate to getopt that we were looking for an argument here. But now we can print opt-arg, and we can see that opt-arg is actually a pointer to the string, which in GDB, GDB will just print the string for us, and that's the parameter. So as long as we save a reference to that location in memory, then we can use that file name later on. So that's what we do. We set this cat fn or cat file name variable, which if you look at its definition, it's a char star. So basically we're saving the address of this the file name as it sits in argv, which means that once we get out of the getopt loop, which will happen on the next call to getopt, because remember that we only are passing 1 flag. So this will now return a -1, and we'll skip the hello because we set hello to false. Goodbye is not true, so we won't go in there. But cat is true, and so we will go inside here, and now we have this cat file name, which we can use to refer back to the file name that came as an argument to the -C flag. At this point, we can also look at the opt-ind global variable. So this is currently set to 3. And this is because we've finished all of our handling of the options. Getopt was able to handle the -C flag and its argument. And so the next command line parameter to process is going to be at index 3, which is actually the same as argc. So we're really sort of pointing off the end of the array. And so this is something we can use to check here at the end. As long as opt-ind is equal to argc, that means that we don't have any extra parameters at the end. Once you get to the other projects, that will not quite be the right thing to check anymore, because we will want a file name at the end. Because starting in P1, the file name is not an argument to one of the flags. It's actually a command line parameter in and of itself. But hopefully this was at least a little bit of a demonstration to show you how debugging works, and about how getopt works, and how you can use them together. So hopefully this was useful.